Hi there, friends and adventurers. Heather here from Heather's Hikes and Adventures, and I am actually heading out on another adventure later today. But first, as you can see, I am in the parking lot. I'm actually at the grocery store picking up a few last-minute items that I need, and it's also time for me to replenish some of my shelf-stable staples that I try to keep stocked at all times, no matter how long I'm going to be gone or where I'm going, because they're always great backup options in case my fridge fails, in case I don't feel like cooking what I have planned, whatever the case may be. These are just good options for me to have on hand at all times. So I'm going to share that with you in this video. But first, let me go grab some stuff. Let's get back to home base and get unloaded. I'll show you my quick haul and we'll talk about essentials to keep on hand. Okay, I am back in the garage. I don't know what kind of accent that was supposed to be, but I'm back at home base. I'm getting ready to bring my groceries in and kind of go over them with you a little more detail. But basically, these are going to be options that require no type of refrigeration, no cooler, no fridge. So you can just kind of keep them stored. What I do is keep them in the same spot and just packed, and then I'll just replenish them as I need to. And then that way I just load in and out when I'm loading everything else in, and I don't really have to think about it or essentially pack, because they're kind of no fuss. You can just kind of throw them in and forget about them until you need them for the most part. So these are things that make good sides if you want to throw them with something else that you're cooking. These are things that are good meals in and of themselves, as either extra meals, backup meal options. You know, things go wrong. You might end up miscalculating the amount of time that you're gonna be off grid or before you go back in town to restock, and you may end up needing a few extra meals. You may end up having power issues, knock on wood, and for some reason your refrigeration fails, so you're not sure whether the food that you did bring is okay. You want to have some backups. You've got some on hand without having to pack everything up, leave camp, and go get some more supplies. So I just think it really makes sense if you spend a lot of time in your vehicle or traveling on the road to always kind of have a few key essentials stocked that you don't have to worry about. And that is what I'm going to be discussing today. And I'm going to kind of show you what I personally use them for, a few meal options, and what I like to just keep stocked. So let's get in and talk about it. I always try to keep some kind of bread on hand, whether it's buns, tortillas. Tortillas do last longer, just keep that in mind. But I kind of, based on my meal planning for that trip, will go with whichever type of bread product seems the most practical. I always have these chicken and tuna packets on hand. These are great for wraps, for sandwiches, for tuna with crackers. These are great for cooking, chicken salad, just so many purposes. I normally will throw them in with rice and beans if I want a hot meal, but they're also great to throw in those bagged salads that I love as just a little extra protein boost, something along those lines. You can also make a chicken salad sandwich. You can throw them in wraps, do like a Caesar wrap with chicken. I mean, there's just so many uses for those. So I get so much use out of these. Highly recommend always having a nice little stash on hand. I also love these soup mixes because they take up a lot less room than the cans of soup. You can see they're virtually flat, so it's easy to just pack them and store them without them taking up much space. Now that I'm able to cook, of course, it is easy to just throw an already prepared can of soup into heat as well, because you just have to reheat it. So I do recommend having cans of soup on hand with you. I always have at least one, normally 2 different variations of these beans, because these are just heat and serve. So I can use them in my Hot Logic. I can use them in my electric pan. You can use them on basically any type of cooktop. They just need reheated. So here I have some Peruvian lentils. This is another brand that I get a lot, these black beans. They're great for burrito bowls, tacos, to throw with the protein and some rice. They're just very multifunctional. I do always keep some heat and serve rice on hand that's already cooked. So I normally will have a couple of variations, like a plain white and then maybe like a fried rice or a, garlic and herb, something like that just needs to be heated. These cup of noodles, as well as ramen in a cup, or even the cup of rice where you just have to add hot water essentially, are so handy to just kind of have a couple on hand as backups or for emergency. Say you get to camp super late and you just do not feel like cooking or doing anything. You just need to heat up some water and voila. And I'll actually a lot of times throw a chicken in, and that is a very filling meal. Just one of these little cups with a package of chicken, and I think it's maybe like $3. So pretty good price for a dinner. Boxed pasta like mac and cheese, or this is my favorite brand, this Annie's. I just love them. And this one is actually my favorite. It's my kid's favorite too, this penne and 4 cheese. But, the cheesy shells, the mac and cheese, these are so easy to throw on, anything in with. You could throw some spinach and chicken in here, and you've got a filling meal for a couple of days. So these are very handy and affordable. Same thing, these are on sale all the time. I got the creamy pesto here and the pasta, but they also have a ton of different rice options, and these are always just $1 or $2 normally too, and they're on sale all the time. So these are super handy, again, as sides, backup options. Throw some chicken in, throw some beans in. You've got a full meal, a couple of full meals at least. Now, because I'm a child, I do like the kind that are dipped in chocolate, so you have to be careful about leaving them in the heat so they don't melt. But otherwise, granola bars are a great no refrigeration option to keep on hand as well for a quick snack, a breakfast on the go. Just something filling to get you to the next meal. Speaking of snacks, I always like to have at least an option or two. So these sourdough nibblers, pretzels are very filling. This is my favorite brand of tortilla chips, so I'll pair that with some salsa, eat it on its own. Sometimes I'll have some spinach dip or queso or cheese. I can make some nachos. But normally I just like to have a snack. And if I've been trying to stay away from regular potato chips because I will eat the entire bag. I cannot be trusted with them. These, I have more self-control, even though they're delicious. And this is another one of my tried and true favorite sides. I can also make this with a full meal. I'll just throw some cheese on it, add a protein, and I'm good to go. I also love to have these on hand because what I'll do on my way to camp is I'll throw maybe some roast that I have ahead of time, or some pork, or, some type of protein in my Hot Logic while I'm driving, so that once I get to camp, it's ready. And then just a couple of minutes once I boil water, I've got my side, open up a bagged salad, and I have a complete, 3-course meal with virtually no time at all spent. So these are so handy because they're always good for at least, it says it serves 4. I always get at least 2 or 3 servings out of it, and I love my potatoes. So this is always good for at least 2 meals when you make one. You can also just pour like a third or a half of the bag in, and then, adjust the water accordingly. And then that way you can just wrap this back up and wait until you need it again if you want them nice and hot and fresh and don't want to have to worry about storing them or refrigeration, containers, all that kind of jazz. And lastly, I do always try to keep some extra drinks on hand aside from just water. If I do start to get bored of water, I have a tendency to not hydrate as well if I'm not super thirsty at the moment, especially if I'm just hanging around camp working. So if I have something like this that I also view as a treat, I tend to drink more fluids that way, and it still is relatively healthy because it's just seltzer water with flavor. So you guys know I love my seltzers, so I always try to have backups on hand that are not in the fridge. All right, folks, there you have it. I've got Tara all loaded back up and resupplied. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. Maybe it gave you a few meal ideas or options that you hadn't considered before. Hopefully it'll help you to keep your pantry and kitchen a little bit better stocked so that you're prepared for anything on the road, whether it's van life, a long road trip, car camping, you know, just traveling from one place to the next and wanting to have a good stash of snacks and food on hand for just in case. You know, there's just so many reasons to have a nice pantry setup when you are spending an extended amount of time in your vehicles, and hopefully you will stick around for the upcoming adventures that are heading your way. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.